If you've ever been overwhelmed, stressed, exhausted, and still said, "I'm fine, I've got it," this might be about you. Some people struggle to ask for help even when they clearly need it. Not because they're arrogant, not because they think they're better than anyone else, but because something in them tightens at the idea of relying on someone. They'll stay up late figuring it out alone. They'll Google instead of calling a friend. They'll carry emotional weight silently. They'll even help everyone else while quietly drowning themselves. And from the outside, it looks like strength, but it says more than you think. People who struggle to ask for help often learned very early that needing things was complicated. Maybe when they were younger, asking for help led to disappointment. Maybe it led to criticism. Maybe it was met with stress, irritation, or emotional withdrawal. Over time, the nervous system makes a quiet decision. It's safer to handle things alone. Not better, safer. So the behavior forms. You stop reaching out. You minimize your problems. You rehearse conversations in your head but never send the message. You convince yourself it's not a big deal. But underneath that behavior is a hidden meaning. Dependence feels risky. And when dependence feels risky, self-reliance becomes identity. It starts to feel uncomfortable when someone offers help. You might say no automatically. You might feel guilty for needing support. You might even feel exposed, like asking for help reveals weakness. But it's not weakness, it's protection. Because when you've learned that support is inconsistent, conditional, or emotionally expensive, you adapt by becoming your own safety net. And here's where it gets interesting. Most people assume that struggling to ask for help is about pride or ego. It's not. It's about control. When you do everything yourself, you control the outcome, you control the pace, you control the disappointment. You don't have to wait. You don't have to rely. You don't have to feel let down. Control feels stable. Relying on others feels uncertain. And if uncertainty once hurt you, your system will avoid it, even years later. This pattern shows up in small, everyday ways. You hesitate before texting someone for support. You rewrite messages multiple times so you don't sound needy. You downplay your struggles when someone asks how you are. You say, "It's okay, don't worry about it," even when it's not okay. Over time, this creates a quiet imbalance in relationships. You become the dependable one, the strong one, the one who listens, the one who shows up. But when it's your turn to lean, something stops you. And that something often formed long before you realized it.
For some, it comes from being the responsible child, the one who didn't want to add more stress to the household, the one who handled things early, the one who learned to solve problems alone because there wasn't space for their vulnerability. For others, it came from subtle emotional invalidation, being told you were too sensitive, being dismissed, being misunderstood. When your needs aren't consistently received, you slowly stop expressing them, not dramatically, gradually. And eventually, you don't just avoid asking for help, you stop recognizing when you need it. That's the deeper layer. Because over-independence doesn't just protect you from disappointment, it distances you from your own vulnerability. You become hyper-capable, efficient, resourceful, but also slightly isolated. And the identity forms quietly. I'm the one who handles it. The problem is, identities built around survival don't always update when the environment changes. You may be surrounded by people who would help you now, people who wouldn't shame you, people who wouldn't withdraw. But your nervous system is still operating on old data. It still equates asking with risk, so you stay silent. And here's another subtle truth. Sometimes not asking for help feels morally superior. You might tell yourself, "I don't want to burden anyone," or "everyone has their own problems," or "I should be able to handle this." On the surface, that sounds selfless, but underneath, it can also be fear of being seen in a moment of need. Because asking for help exposes something very human, that you're not invincible. And if you built your identity around being the stable one, the strong one, the capable one, Vulnerability feels like identity threat. So you overfunction instead. You solve, you fix, you carry, and people admire you for it, but they don't always see the cost. The quiet exhaustion, the emotional bottling, the feeling of being surrounded yet unsupported. Not because no one would help, but because you never fully let them. And again, this isn't a flaw, it's a strategy that once made sense. If you grew up in an environment where your needs felt secondary, unpredictable, or heavy to others, self-sufficiency became emotional armor. Armor keeps you safe, but it also keeps people out. The interesting part is that many people who struggle to ask for help are actually very comfortable helping others. They show up immediately, they give advice, they lend money, they listen for hours, because being needed feels secure. Needing feels dangerous. That reversal is the pattern. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere in your own behavior. The pause before reaching out, the automatic "I'm good," the tension when someone insists on helping you. It was never random. It was conditioning. It was identity shaped by early experiences. And it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you adapted. People who struggle to ask for help are often deeply capable, deeply thoughtful, deeply resilient. But resilience formed in isolation can feel lonely. Understanding that pattern doesn't instantly change it, but it changes how you see yourself. It reframes the silence not as stubbornness, but as self-protection. And once you recognize that, something softens. Because now it's not "what's wrong with me?" It's "oh, that's where that came from." And that awareness alone shifts the story. If this explains something for you, there's more to uncover. Understanding yourself is the beginning of everything.